start our chant now.
Give me love, give me love, give me all that you need.
Good evening. Sitting to my left is Brent Holman-Gomez. I'm Bob Schwartz, and we are with the Gay Liberation Network. As indicated on the introductory material, tonight we're going to be talking about what seems to be a technical change going on with the national gay movement, or at least a part of the national gay movement. What we want to talk about and what this part of the national movement has been doing is engaging in direct action. We saw this in March, where a group of gay and lesbian people invaded the office of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. We saw it at the White House in March, when two military members of the gay community handcuffed themselves to the fence at the White House. In April, more recently, we saw an address of President Barack Obama disrupted at a campaign appearance in California for Barbara Boxer, the incumbent senator who's running for re-election. And again at the White House, we saw direct action, this time on the part of 6 members of the United States military, either active or past members of the United States military. So, Brent, what's going on here with this direct action?
It's really exciting. I mean, there has been national media coverage of these events. So there's some attention by bloggers as well as, various magazines and newspapers to pick up these items, which is a change from the past when while it was, these are small groups that are still doing this stuff. They were less likely to get the coverage and get the enthusiasm behind them that they have right now. We've got a couple of pictures of the events. This one is of just this last week at the White House. 6 members of the armed forces, 2 of which have been discharged under Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Change themselves to the White House. This is a direct copy of what two of those members did back in March. So in March, they chained themselves to the White House fence. They got arrested. They went through their trial, which I think was on April 6th, and then they went right back to the White House and said, "Okay, well, people are still getting discharged from the military, so we're back."
Could you briefly explain for viewers who may not know what we're talking about, what Don't Ask, Don't Tell is?
Yeah. Basically, Don't Ask, Don't Tell was a policy of the federal government that permitted the armed forces to discharge members of their service members based on them telling someone or making it public knowledge that they were a homosexual, a homosexual person. And the tragic thing about it is that, unlike a standard employer, that if I come out at my employer, I may face some discrimination, I may get beat up, I may whatever the circumstances are, those things may happen to me. With the military, the federal government says we will fire you, if you come out. So that's the reason why Don't Ask, Don't Tell is a huge problem.
I think it should be mentioned. But here's another shot of some of the people in the group that's been promoting the direct action in D.C. and in San Francisco. Get Equal.
These people were protesting the Employment Non-Discrimination Act at Nancy Pelosi's office. I believe this group was in Washington, D.C. There was another group of I think 6 in her San Francisco office.
Right, and I could explain that the Employment Non-Discrimination Act would make it illegal in federal law to discriminate against gay and lesbian people in terms of employment. There are some local and state protections, but not in every state. This would make it a federal law. And just as I was about to say about Don't Ask, Don't Tell, it's important to note that this was signed into law by Democratic President Bill Clinton in the 1990s, and was strongly advocated for by openly gay Representative Barney Frank at the time that Clinton signed it. So these people, both of whom today are sometimes sounding as if this was a terrible injustice that was done to gay people, they were a part of it.
Correct. Yeah, there was so much hope behind the Clinton administration, and that there was going to be a change with to gay policy, and some of the worst federal laws in existence today are actually legacy of that period. So
right. Now we are going to be taking calls, but we're going to take a few minutes to get into our subject here. So those who may be planning to call, or those who have already called, please hang on. We'll get to your call in just a few minutes.
I'd like to bring up that there have been local actions of similar types here in Chicago that our viewing audience should be familiar with. In February, Gay Liberation Network had a protest out front of Holy Name Cathedral on Valentine's Day that also received some very good media attention and had a good turnout. That was directed at the largest anti-gay lobby group in the country by many thoughts and concerns, and that is the Roman Catholic Church. The church lobbies against us both on a state basis and local basis, with Proposition 8 in California and in Maine, all of these referendums and ideas for jobs and equality and marriage and every civil right that we could consider. And so as well, the church more recently has been scapegoating the gays for their own scandals of criminal behavior within their own ranks and by the clergy there. So that happened in February. In May, we want to bring up that there are a couple of other actions, direct actions that are appearing. First is this International Day Against Homophobia. It is on Monday, May 17th, and is down at Millennium Park at 5:30 p.m. Come out and join us for that. Let's go back to... you can also join us plan some of these direct actions at our monthly meeting on Wednesday, May 5th, 7 p.m. There's also an interesting action that is planned by a variety of groups here in Chicago, including Gay Liberation Network, Join the Impact Chicago, LGBT Change, and it is going to be on May 20th. It's a Thursday at noon. We're going to be protesting Dick Durbin's office. Dick Durbin is the second most powerful senator in the United States at this time in the Democratic Party, and we will be protesting his office at the Federal Building at Jackson and Dearborn, noon on May 20th.
Some people may ask, And some people did ask when Obama was interrupted during his campaign appearance out in California. Well, why are you doing this? I mean, Obama has said he's on your side. Dick Durbin has said, he's on our side. Why are you protesting these people? Well, it's very simple. They're not doing anything. Talk is cheap. Obama said in his State of the Union address that Don't Ask, Don't Tell would be repealed this year. Now, word is getting out that shortly after that address, with its fine words, an assistant in Rahm Emanuel's office, the chief of staff, made it clear that it would not happen this year. Pelosi, Reid, and Durbin haven't been doing anything, and it's clear to many of us, and I think the people doing these protests, those of us in Chicago and people in D.C. and in San Francisco, are convinced that there's a conspiracy here among the Democratic leadership not to do anything. Obama tomorrow could issue a stop-loss order, and in effect, he could stop the discharge of gay and lesbian military members. He could do it tomorrow.
And that's that's the fire that is, that's driving this engine behind, direct action and people doing things outside of lobbying. And it's because of this frustration of Obama says he's going to do one thing, and then the next word that we hear from his very office is that they're not going to do it. It's the same with his reaction on several aspects of LGBT rights, including Defense of Marriage Act. In 2009, Eric Holder, his appointee, the Department of Justice, issued a defense of the Defense of Marriage Act to the Supreme Court that basically aligned homosexuality with incest and bestiality. And since then, he did recant a little. They weakened that position somewhat, but this is from someone who said on the campaign trail that he's going to be a fierce advocate for LGBT rights. Obama also appointed Rick Warren to be his, to be a prominent speaker at his inauguration, and Rick Warren was a strong supporter and out front spokesperson for the Proposition 8 proposal that illegalized gay marriage in California. So.
Okay, let's go to a caller. Joe, you're on PAN TV.
Gentlemen, the military is for the defense of our country. Anytime you join the military, matter of fact, there have been gay officers as well that came out later on. When you join the military, you give up, or certain civil liberties that you have are curtailed. That's the bottom line. The military is not a place to conduct any type of social experiment. It is almost like a different society. You cannot operate the military like you operate other departments of the government, specifically for the defense of our country.
All right, thank you, Joe. We get your point.
To respond somewhat to Joe, if it needs a response, you can be in the military and be heterosexual and let everybody know, and you can be married to a person and they will get housing as well as a variety of other benefits from our military if it is a mixed sex couple.
Well, and the militaries of many other nations with whom the United States is allied have included gay and lesbian people for many years, and Obama himself has said it shouldn't be an impediment to joining the military, and so. We certainly agree with him that it shouldn't be an impediment, and our criticism is that he's not doing what needs to be done to implement his fine sentiments.
And this is a policy that actually has real effects on the ground. There have been 13,500 service members discharged. Fired is actually the word that should be used. People go into the military as a job, as an employment choice. People make careers of the military as well, and so they're fired from these careers. And there's been 13,500 people fired since 1994 under this policy. The number of people fired has increased in the last few years. On average, it's been 16 people a week that are fired. So, every day, 2 people a day, basically. And so every day, Obama, by not doing anything, is doing something. He is firing people every day. So, and on the Employment Non-Discrimination Act, which is the other bill that is proposed in Washington that is getting a lot of attention, there are 29 states that still allow people to be fired from their jobs due to their sexual orientation, and there are 38 states that allow people to be fired based on their gender expression.
Right, and I'd like to make it clear that Gay Liberation Network is not urging people to become part of the U.S. military, but for the people, but that's really the subject for a second show. But the people who do wish to join should have the opportunity to do so openly as gay and lesbian people, as they can do in many other nations. Most other nations with whom the U.S. government is allied.
We want to call attention to the May 17th International Day Against Homophobia educational gathering that we'll be having at Millennium Park, Michigan Avenue, and Monroe Street. It's going to be focused on Africa this year. There have been a variety of horrendous events in Uganda, Malawi, and Kenya in recent months that need to get the attention of our community.
The draconian legislation that's pending in Uganda was spurred on by some evangelicals who appeared there over a year ago at a conference to loudly condemn homosexuality and to urge the Ugandan government to do even more than it had already done. And as the legislation currently stands, the death penalty would apply under some circumstances for so-called serial homosexuality. So this is draconian, and there's a U.S. Evangelical link to what's going on there. So we want to call the attention of people to this on May 17th.
Yes. Our next meeting is Wednesday, May 5th, 7 p.m. at near the Granville stop of the Red Line. It's in Burger Park Cultural Center. And the next television show that you can join us is 6:30 p.m. Friday, May 14th, same channel. I want to just get back to the frustration that is driving all of these our direct action as here locally, as well as the national attention on these direct action motives, is simply that our allied liberals, our friendly folks that are representing us politically, have been fruitless in changing what is happening. Barney Frank is the ranking member of Congress that identifies as homosexual, and he has been critical of our direct action movements, direct action campaign, including last year the march that was attended by 250,000 LGBT people in Washington. His comment about that Equality Across America march was that they were only going to be putting pressure on the grass. Not any pressure, intending to mean that not any pressure on the politicians there or lobbying them. And so this lack of urgency in Washington, even from our own gay lobby groups, such as HRC and National Gay Liberation Task Force, this lack of urgency is driving people mad, and some of the bloggers have started referring to these groups as Gay Inc. And it's telling that the first time that the service members Dan Choi and Peter Angelo chained themselves to the White House fence, it was following an HRC rally that they led a march from and walked over to the White House from this rally, and the HRC and the people there at the event that were organizing the event did not join them, did not go to make a bigger stand right there at the house of our president. So that's the frustration that is out there. This Robin McGehee that's organizing the group Get Equal that has sponsored many of these protests recently was reported as I think very concisely stating what our problem is by criticizing Barney Frank. And her statement was about Barney Frank was that she would say that from his position of power as an openly gay man who is serving his community well, he may no longer be able to identify with those suffering with fear of job loss or other problems because of their identity. And so there's this disconnect between us on the ground and our representation.
Well, and I'd just like to add to what Brent has said, that the frustration is reaching a level where some people, including some members of our group, Gay Liberation Network, are talking about boycotting the Democrats in the election this fall, and the same could carry over to the presidential election a little over 2 years from now. I mean, these people have they claim to be our friends when they want our votes, and then once in office, they ignore us. Sometimes they make these palliative statements. Oh, we're on your side, don't worry, we'll get it done. But they're not getting it done. And so they haven't felt any pain, and the pain that's most real to them, in addition to these protests at their offices and at the White House, is to not vote for them.
Yeah, and Obama pointed it out at the Barbara Boxer event, which he was interrupted about "Don't Ask, Don't Tell." He said, "We hear you. We know that you're frustrated. Re-elect Barbara Boxer. She listens to you. She's on your side." The problem there is re-elect. She was already elected to be on our side. Nothing's happened.
That's right.
Please visit us at www.gayliberation.net for further information on these events and others that are coming up in May. Bob, I'd like to, if we can, just have the audience and ourselves just think about this attitude that we should have as we, here's some words that are going to inform the attitude that we should have as we go about our daily actions, our everyday lives, our lobbying efforts, and so we're going to share these, hopefully this chant, which hopefully will help everybody present. I am somebody. I deserve full equality. I am somebody. I deserve full equality.
Good night, everybody.